What's up, y'all? Y'all are listening to Living Corporate's flagship podcast. If you didn't know, Living Corporate helps organizations build employee engagement and market trust through data analytics and data transformation, our e-learning platform, and brand marketing storytelling. We're so excited for you to be here today. The conversation you're about to hear is going to connect the dots between employee experience and go-to-market effectiveness. If you're not ready, get ready. Here we go. Sarah Morgan, HR executive, operations expert, speaker, thought leader, influencer. You know, I have to say something. I was thinking about, look, I cannot escape the reality of this moment. And by this moment, I mean, we're in an increasingly nakedly white supremacist and fascistic season.
Yes.
I like quick story. Living Corporate has a historically underrepresented business certification. And in Texas, it's a certification that helps you be recognized and helps you work with be a contractor within the different places
the
now.
Systems and
state
like
systems.
That.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. And I have not taken advantage of the program, but I wanted to make sure I got the certification just because I want to be thoughtful and just to cover all my bases. So it's interesting. A couple of days ago, I got an email saying that to abide by the Constitution, that these certifications are going to be removed from Black people and from women, and that this whole program, they're pausing, they're suspending the program certifications, and it's going to be renamed to only support veterans with disabilities. And so I got the email. I was confused. So I go online. I'm like, is there a news article about this? And sure enough, like 30 minutes before I got this email, headlines around the fact that that Abbott's placement is puts someone in a position to remove this and eliminate all things DEI from.
Wow.
And so, you pair that with layoffs the recent numbers are saying that over like 1.2 million people have been laid off this year. You look at what's happening with Somali folks. When you look at what's happening with ICE, when you look at what's happening, even just the way that technology is being leveraged to further infringe upon or dampen the employee experience. You're seeing all these parameters around return to office and how heavily monitored employees are being. I say all this just to say, this is a season, I believe, where we're coming out of a season where we really leaned on institutions.
Right.
We really, really leaned on, hey, this organization or this policy or this whatever is going to be able to protect us from whatever. We can go to the EEOC. Now, the EEOC was not perfect before this season, to be very clear, but now the EEOC is essentially here to support white supremacy also. And so so I say all that to say I am heartened, I'm encouraged, and I'm affirmed when I think about the partnerships that Living Corporate has still been able to forge.
Yeah.
And the partnerships we were able to forge because we have relationship. And I think people are it's going to be a hard rewiring, but a lot of folks who are Black and brown, who are proud of themselves for being one of the few in rooms and now are at home looking for something for work. We're going to have to start leaning and looking at each other. Where before we were looking at institutions, we're going to have to figure out how to practice community together. And so I just want to up front give your flowers because I'm going to ask you some questions about our partnership, Living Corporate, working with VIVO Agency, and I'm excited about the work that we're doing. But I want to just first start by saying it's important to practice community and leverage network and support one another with the resources that you have. You are sitting in a position at a market at a firm, at an organization where you are looking for a solution. I'm sitting outside of said organization with a variety of solutions, and we came together to figure out what does a partnership actually look like?
Right.
And what does it look like to provide value to one another? It's not about the homie hookup or whatever the case is. It's
Right.
it is about an equitable exchange of value to support one another. So I just want to say straight up, thank you for being a model and an example of what it means to do that and support people that are providing value out there.
Thank you. That was not expecting that, but I will take my flowers on in that regard. And yeah, I will take my flowers on that. And you're right. This is the time for us to be in practice of community, of how we help each other sustain, maintain, continue to hopefully grow and prosper during this season. I jokingly say all the time that, like, what's going on. So, I'm in North Carolina. We had ice raids. We still are having ice raids, but it started a few weeks back, right around Halloween, right after Halloween. And first they were in Charlotte, and then they came to the Durham area. And we have, workers in our neighborhood. I'm in a newer subdivision. There's still sections of the subdivision being built. I've gotten used to, as I walk around, walk my dog, seeing them, talking to them, and so forth. And it was eerily empty, eerily quiet, people who are just fearful of leaving their homes. And then I'm seeing reports and sharing the information about where they are. The closest I think they got was about a half mile away. And at my niece's high school during pickup in the afternoon, just waiting to see if they can grab a parent, grab a kid. Like, it's just unbelievable. But the community, came together to protect each other and to make sure that folks are all right. So many stories of businesses being like, y'all are not coming up in here. Or, businesses alerting parents, schools, daycares, alerting parents like, hey, they outside. We gonna stay open till they leave. Y'all chill somewhere. Like, we don't want no problems. And just watching folks take care of one another. And that was beautiful. And then I saw on the news, and this is so off topic, but we gonna do it. Then I saw on the news, that there was a march happening, an organized demonstration happening downtown from one of the parks not far from the federal building to the federal building. And I looked and I was like, that is so beautiful. That's not our work right now, though. Like, I'm still very much in the help my community, help my neighbors, help my people's mindset, but I am still very much resting and chilling when it comes to the massive organized demonstrations. I don't think for people, for Black people, for Black women, for those of us also like deeply in the margins, this ain't the time for us. This is the time for the privileged but marginalized voices to speak up, stand up, take action alongside those who have a tremendous amount of privilege. Like, that's the place that we're in. And so I'm like, it's great to see the outpouring of people who are just like on it immediately. Like, we're going to assemble, we're going to march, we're going to lift our voice against this thing. And I want to see more of that. But my focus and what I encourage people who look like me to do is to continue to be focused on community, focused on supporting the people in their neighborhoods, in their church, in their, organizations that they belong to, and the people that they know and love the most. Because when 600,000 plus Black women are without jobs, that's our community. You know, that's our and the numbers on Black men are rising. Like, that's our community. That's who
Yeah.
needs help, attention, support. So I want to, as much as I can, walk that talk in what I do every day and the choices that I make and where I put my time and attention and money. I want to be good with that and figure out what that looks like for myself. So
No, look, I'm right there with you, and thank you for sharing. You know, look, you know, after this podcast, I'm going to be going to pick up my eldest daughter from school, and I'm in that line, and I think about it a lot. You know, the school that my daughter attends is largely Black and brown, and I think about, man, like, what would happen if ICE decided to pull up and hang out outside the school like they're doing in other cities? And ICE is active in the city that I live in, right? And so, you know, it's just it's a serious time, and I do understand it, and I agree, right? I personally agree that this is the season to take your energy and pour it into community, pour it into what does it look like for you to genuinely extend and help somebody, not being safe and like, oh no, what can you do to leverage your resources to genuinely help somebody? I think. And it's interesting also, and I'll say this last thing, we get to the actual showcase of the podcast, but there's something to be said about because we have been conditioned, trained, and rewarded for leaning on institutions.
yeah,
A lot of us don't actually know what it means.
to be in community.
We don't. We don't know what it means to be in community. We don't know what it means. Hey, I have this. You have this. Can we exchange this?
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have anything, but you need something that I have. Here, you have
Here
that.
it is, with no expectation or you know, whatever that comes along with that. Like, I'm freely giving this to you and trusting that it will come back to me in with no expectation, only expectancy. And I tis the season for that, if nothing else. And you're
Yeah.
right. We lost that. This is one of those things where I can remember having conversations with my parents about integration and assimilation and the ways that it robbed us of community. And this is how that comes back, because as you know, the boomers, like, we Gen X Xennials really are the first generation that, for lack of a better word, like, had all our rights, right? Like,
Yes.
we did not experience segregated schools. We didn't experience not having the right to vote. We didn't experience not initially having freedom of biological choice, like those sorts
Right.
of things.
Right.
So we started our schools integrated. We started out being able to vote. Like, we started out having those things. However, we lost, because we didn't have the experience of segregation and separation. Like, we lost some of that sense of community. And then when you add on top of that, like, the ways that we messed up urban centers and the places where Black and brown people lived to make the suburbs a more attractive option, and more of us started to move out into those communities, it further fractured our
Right.
sense of community.
Right.
And we lost a lot of folks, you know, being involved in churches, being involved in Black Greek letter organizations. Like, a lot of that went away during that time as well. And so the things that kept us in community with one another were gone during the late 70s into the 80s and 90s. And now that we need those institutions, we don't really know how that works, because in some cases our parents were too young to fully, you know, understand what that was, or our other elders and ancestors are gone and we didn't get those stories. So we're almost having to, like, figure it out. Because we're in a generation where a lot of us didn't have the opportunity to sit at the feet of those before us and learn what that looks like. And so it makes it hard for us to work together and trust one another because we just weren't conditioned in that
Yeah.
way. And we have to now at this point just be willing to be vulnerable and risk, in some cases, like playing yourself a little bit
A little
with
bit.
people who may take advantage of your willingness to be in community,
Yeah.
and recognize that like that's not new, but it can't break us from the spirit
Right.
of it that's very much needed. Like scammers ain't new, they ain't going nowhere. But we can't let that stop us from what we know is very much needed in this moment.
It's interesting. We're in the season, right? And I keep saying season because I do believe it. The seasons come and they come and they leave. They end. But I remember even like in 2022 and 2023 and even 2021, like I was like, hey, we as like marginalized people, Black people specifically, but then historically marginalized people at large, we do not have the benefit of practicing capitalism on each other the ways that the majority does. Mm-hmm. And I was saying that when everything was supposedly do well, right?
Right.
But the truth is we just don't have. We have to think. We have to imagine something different. And I think about this moment and how, again, going back to conditioning, we're conditioned to be consumers and takers and to capitalize off of one another. But this is just like when you think about what AI is trying to shepherd in, which is this era of techno-feudalism, and AI is really kind of choking out this. It's accelerating the end of capitalism in that, but it's replacing it with something much more, which just so crazy to say, even more insidious than capitalism, which is crazy.
As if there could be something more insidious.
More insidious.
More insidious than capitalism.
My God, y'all are talking about ChatGPT about to have ads, and meanwhile the CEO of IBM is saying the math doesn't even make sense. How is this ever going to be profitable? Parallel that, you got the CEO of Palantir having a conniption on stage because people are rightly clocking the fact that he's creating surveillance technology that's surveilling American citizens, and he's working with foreign nations to develop said technology and testing that technology in war-torn, dare I say, genocidal environments. And so it's just, all of it is just so much. It's like, Father God, like Jesus, literally Jesus, not like saying in vain, like somebody help, please. This is crazy. Yes. And it's hard to. And so anyway, this is the most fire intro to a product showcase I have ever had.
Yes. We just talking. We just being Zach. This is how we have conversations on the phone. So like we'll call to talk about something very specific, and then we end up down this rabbit hole of pontification.
We're bringing it together in that I'm excited because living corporate, like getting back to this conversation, right? Like I'm excited because living corporate over the past almost 8 years has built a library of over 1,000 podcasts.
Yes.
And I remember saying maybe 3 or 4 years ago, okay, this is a lot of thought leadership that I have contributed to and directly facilitated, and that the hosts that are part of Living Corporate Network have contributed to or directly facilitated. What does it look like to operationalize all of this knowledge? Like that was the question that I kept asking myself. And initially I was like, you know what? Let me, and shout out to Dr. McClooney, when she was at Cornell, I was like, Dr. McClooney, can you help me make sense of all this information and catalog it and themify it for me so I can figure out what I have and potentially turn it into something else? And it took a little while, and she came back and said, listen, this content, it's like, this is the most like unformatted, unstructured data we've ever had. Like typically in research, everything is the same. Like if you had 1,000 interviews and asked them all the same questions in the same way, then this would be something we could easily organize and analyze and then catalog and create an index for you. However, because some of these are like an hour-long conversations and you're talking about dozens and dozens upon dozens of topics, this would take us several years. Like academic, she's like, look, like higher ed, like this is a really great problem, but this would take us several years of research. This would take us a long time. And so I remember being really disappointed by that because I was like, dang, I know I have something here there's thought leadership here to mine stuff out of. So what can we do? So then I go, and this is back when all the generative AI stuff was like a little newer and the limitations were much more explicit. Tokens at the time were much more limited, so you can only process so much information. But I remember talking to people and like talking to these AI companies and saying, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. And each of them would come back and say, oh, we don't do that. Oh, we can't do that. Okay, we can't do that. And so eventually, living corporate, we made a decision to say, okay, why don't we just build it ourselves? Because we have insight and data analytics and data transformation experts on our team. We have, I'm going to say humbly, one of the coldest data scientists that anybody individually that anybody's ever going to talk to. His name is Mike Schmidt. He's our head of information and insight. And Mike, I said, Mike, here's what we're trying to do. And what we decided was we built our own code on top of, at the time, OpenAI. Then we moved over to Claude that could ingest the entire library and do what we needed to do. So we took this whole library and we fed it through our own proprietary tool called Insight Engine and turned these podcasts, audio content, into e-learning modules. So title of the pod, summary of that conversation, longer form story, action items of what leaders should do as listeners to this conversation, discussion questions that you take it back to your team, and then of course the full transcript. Parallel also themes and tags, so that we've not only do you have something that you can like read and listen to and engage as a learning module, but you also then have collectively a library so that you can actually like search and organize all of these different conversations, all of that. And then we also built this platform that's almost like a Spotify type experience where all these modules are housed. And I say I'm excited because when I think about a use case for AI, and I think about a use case for this type of technology, I believe this is a realistic, tangible outcome.
Sure.
It's something that is real. It's something that makes sense. It's something that you can understand. It's something. It's not theoretical at all. And so then over the past few years, we've had the immense privilege of working with a variety of organizations and being a partner and using and them licensing access to this platform as a part of their employee engagement and solutions needs. And like you have been, because to your point about talking on the phone, you and I have been in conversation and communication now for years, obviously, before all of this started. But then you started your role at VIVO formally. I know you already been there for a while. And then we got connected like about this particular thing.
Right.
So I'm giving all that context for the audience, right? In terms of what this platform is and what it does. But I think I would love to give you space to talk about like your journey in like working and us coming together because you had a variety of options.
So
talk to me, please.
So when I was a contractor at VIVO for almost 4 years before I took the full-time role. I was fortunate that I was laid off from my previous job at the time that they were ready to bring in a full-time HR person. It was really serendipitous because I've loved working within this organization, and I'm glad, that the timing worked out that I get to be the person because I had already built so much of the systems and to some extent the team because I was involved in recruiting. And so I'm like, of course I want to be here. So here I am. I'm proud to say that VIVO has maintained and deepened its commitment to DEI. We are a healthcare marketing agency. We don't have the luxury to shy away from the differences of people and the way that that impacts their access to care, their quality of care, the way care is communicated to them and about them, right? We recognize that wholeheartedly. At the same time, we also recognize that our employees who are doing this marketing work with huge, names. You can go on our website and see all the main people, that we're working with and the impact that that has. We have to make sure that we are addressing our own biases, that we are aware of the impact of systemic issues in the work that we do and on ourselves, so that we can begin to address, undo, work on, bring awareness and actively work on those things. And so I set off trying to find educational tools that were not my own to give that to people. Because here's the thing, right? Like, I could put together our anti-bias, our anti-harassment. I could do all those things. However, I actually have things that I need to learn my damn self. And I want to be able to participate to some extent as an employee of the company too, which HR a lot of times gets lost in that sauce, right? Like, we don't get to have employee experience the way that other people do. And I didn't want that for myself and the ultimate, team that I will build coming down the line. So it was important to me to not be so focused on the compliance aspect of it, which I believe is where a lot of folks get this type of training wrong. We focus so much on, does this meet the requirements for this state, this thing, that thing, that we forget that there's actually supposed to be learning happening, that there's actually supposed to be conversation coming out of that this is actually supposed to increase the person's awareness in a way that shifts them somehow personally. And in most of what you'll find in kind of your box off the shelf trainings, you're not going to get that. There are absolutely some out there that I believe are better than others. But if you're really looking for something that is unique in its approach and, dare I say, radical in its perspectives, it's very lacking. And I knew, because I've been a listener of living corporate. I'm mixing my podcast and your podcast. I'm living corporate and a supporter of you for as long as this thing has existed, pretty much. And so I knew, if you're putting it together, it's going to be right. And so it was a no-brainer for me to engage you in what this could look like. This is what we need. This is what we're trying to do. How do we make this happen together? And so you and I started having conversations about the content library, about what we were looking for in terms of the learning modules, which really come out as playlists for the individuals. And then we're able to let those individuals know, okay, you need to go listen to the playlist on anti-microaggressions, and it's going to be these pieces of content. And then we will have some discussion about that in a larger group using the facilitation tools that Living Corporate has put together through the content that's within the playlist. Like, what? That is, it just made it so simple. And so, like, how do I say no to this? The other thing is, this hella affordable. Like, hello, and I know when organizations are going through change, like, this is a very tentative time for business. We are on the cusp of recession, depression. Like, we don't really know what's happening with our economy. We don't really know what the political landscape is, how that's going to turn. Like, you've said it several times in this conversation,
Right.
Zach, like, this is a season, but we don't know how long this season is going to last. Like, it's like winter is coming, right? And so we don't know if this is going to be
Right.
a 3-month winter or a 3-year winter, but we know winter is coming, and it's about to be the coldest winter ever. So we have to be, ready for all that. So, wanting to make sure that I am being conscious of cost in the midst of that, so that this doesn't just become another software that ends up on the chopping block a year from now when the winds change and we have to look at things that have to be potentially eliminated. And I can say that you were able to do that, and I don't feel like you did it in a way of like,
Yeah.
you, my friend, this the hookup. I think you did it in a way of, this is what makes good business sense for the size of your organization, what it is that you need
Right.
to do with the platform. And I have no doubt that that's what you would do for any client that you were working with, because that's good client experience. And that's something I know you're committed to deliver. So that made it simple. And then it was really about talking to our leadership and getting them to understand why this platform and not one of the others. And for me, what I love is that it is multi multi types of content. Like, you can listen to this on a podcast. There are some short videos in there. You can read the transcript. You can, you can take a show that is 60 minutes and watch it in 5-minute increments, because let's face it, like, we have the attention span of nets
Right.
now. And so we need we would
story,
rather
a
watch
movie.
20 TikToks of, 2-3 minutes a piece than we would of a story. Yeah, than we would of we don't have the attention spans that we did once upon a time. And I know from working in training, it's one of the most difficult things to overcome with people's learning, because I come to you and I say, okay, it's time for your annual anti-harassment. Compliance says that it has to be 2 hours in this state, 3 hours in another state. I think the highest is 5. And you want me to spend 5 hours watching these, poorly acted B-list, C-list, D-list videos? Like, are you kidding me? And so the thought that would be the case was just unfathomable. And also, I'm working with marketers, so these are
Right.
highly creative, fast thinking, fast moving people. You got to grab them quick, because otherwise you've lost them. They're on to the next thing, and I'm never going to get them to engage with the content, complete the task, and then participate in all the after things. So you got to know your audience. And I don't want to hold people hostage in no training. I never have. I understand.
Right.
I've been
Right.
on the other side of it, when you're sitting there and the person
Right.
is just like Charlie Brown's
No.
teacher, womp, 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 droning on and on. It's not fun. And so you have to make sure that it's going to be engaging. And so having content that allows the user to pace their experience was game changing, and not something that you see in a lot of the more traditional learning platforms. So all those things came together because we're talking about the primary reason that we're using the software is in order to increase awareness, learning around things, subject matter in the spectrum of DEI. And to say that out loud, and then to lock people in to a learning platform that doesn't account for the difference in learning styles, that doesn't account for the ways that people engage with content today versus, we wheel the VHS out and put the tape in and everybody, watch the thing, and if you fall
Right.
asleep, you fail kind of a thing. Because that's what training has become. And we're a remote company. So we don't have an office that people can go to. If we do that costs
Right.
money. We got to fly people in from all over the country in order to have those meetings. So now your costs have gone pew, and you're not achieving your goal. So we had to find something that was going to meet all of those needs. And we are a marketing company in terms of we have a lot of generational mix, a lot of geographical mix. And when you put all those people together, like the needs of the group
Right.
are very different. And we had to make sure that the solution met that. And I felt like this met that. And I like to be an early adopter on technology when it comes to stuff like this, because I can work with the individuals and have some measure of like influence over how the thing grows.
Yeah.
Because I can call you up
Yes.
and be like, Zach, can we look and see can we try this? Can we do that? Like, I love being
Yeah.
able to work with tech. That's actually how I got into tech advisory, was being the annoying
Yeah.
client who was like, this don't do what we actually needed to do.
Solve for this thing.
I talk to somebody who will help me make sure that it does the thing that it needs
Right.
to do? Yeah, solve for this thing, because I can't be the only client that you have that's telling you this. But I am willing to be, the guinea pig to help you like through the problem.
And you're willing to give me the gift of feedback, right? And
Yes.
I think any company, any organization with any type of product or solution, right? Not just SaaS type tools, but like any product or solution, if you have clients that are willing to give you feedback and you don't listen, you're a fool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I definitely appreciate all the clients that we have and have had who have worked with us and iteratively given, okay, hey, I really need this playlist to do this, or hey, this is working. We've had, look, shout out to Amplify Credit Union, Ashley Cunningham. They gave us so much feedback that it helped enhance overall user experience. There's things that we have now that we didn't have 2 years ago that you don't even know about, Sarah, just because
I didn't. The feedback came before. Yeah.
100%. And we had the gift of receiving that feedback, and then we also had the just the privilege of having them as clients. So I want to talk a bit about something you said regarding the learning content. So when I think about the things that this is and it isn't, and I'm really big on leaning into what something isn't, because in tech, people oftentimes want to tell you that their product can do everything, right? Give you the moon, the stars, and the mountains, and even more. Oh, my product can solve every problem that you have. And it's like, that's not true, right? There's going to be scope limitations to any product or service. And so for us, we always say, hey, listen, if you're looking for like a Skillsoft or a Skillport or a red carpet or something like that, then you should go engage those tools, right? And you and I had that conversation, right? Like this is not your typical, hey, we're going to give you a ribbon, or you're going to be able to, again, these are like files that you can put into your LMS system. This is its own player. It's its own playlist experience and platform. And I like that because when I think about the current state of learning, it's, to your point earlier, it's changed so much. I graduated in 2011, and I remember learning back then, you would go to a Skillsoft and you would go and continue to press play on like an hour and a half module, and it would be C and D tier acting. It would be, and it was like, man, like, and I'm gonna be honest, I rarely recall what I was actually watching or engaging. I just know I had to listen because, okay, well, hold on, let me pay attention because I got to answer this check for understanding, these little quizzes. But was I really engaged? Did I care about what we were talking about? No, I didn't care what we were talking. Mm-mm. And so, now we're in this place, right, where just the truth of the matter, right? Like, it's not about it being, irrespective if you agree or disagree, companies, they want their employees to get certain information, but they do not want their employees to stop working, nor do they really want their employees to be so split, even in their attention, that they slow down in being productive and executing against whatever task they have. So for Living Corporate, this platform that we're talking about, our learning platform is really meant to be just like Spotify or Apple or whatever music player. You get excited, you like, there's a playlist that you like. Man, okay, oh man, 70s. Oh man, yacht rock. Okay, I'm gonna put this on, and while I'm working, I'm gonna be listening to this music. The same idea is that you have this content that you can actually engage while you're doing your thing. And because it's modularized, and because you can make whatever playlist you like against this huge library of content, you have flexibility with what you want to learn and how you engage. I mean, I would love like to hear more about when you talk about the content that you've built out for VIVO, like, and because we talked about playlists, right? Like, what playlists, like at a high level, what are a few playlists that you're excited about building or that's already been built?
So we have our anti-bias playlist. We have one on anti-harassment and discrimination. We have one specifically on microaggressions, which was one of the areas that our employees asked for, like really wanting to understand more about how do we limit and avoid this, and how do we address it, when it happens. And so we wanted to make sure that the learning for that was front and center. So we made sure that there was a playlist for those also. We also have started building out playlists around the months. So, Indigenous History Month, Black History Month, Women's History Month, so that there is learning specifically for those things, because we are a small organization, and, doing lunch and learns and activities with our committees, sometimes we just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that. But we know that we can send people to the content, and that there's going to be something there that's going to be helpful and useful. And then we can use discussion time to take advantage of some of those things. We have a playlist for leaders about creating and building inclusive teams, which spans some great experts giving their advice on how to do that. Authors and thought leaders and people at the top of their craft. And these are things like you would spend hundreds of dollars on books, thousands of dollars on seminars and things like that, trying to put together what Living Corporate has built with these playlists and the people who have appeared, on the show. And so it's really important to recognize that this is something special. The other thing that I love about it, and you mentioned this, is like you can put it on in the background. And what we found is that, like, as people like stuff, you can create a playlist from the playlist. So you can be like, this was going on in the background while I was working on this thing, but I want to make sure I come back to this. So let me add this to my favorites. So this can be something that I listen to again. And I can share this. I can share this with my spouse. I can share this with my friends. I can share this with, people that I used to work with, who may need these messages in there. And it takes them back to Living Corporate so that they're now able to subscribe to the pod. They can't get in and create their own playlist, but they can listen to some of the old episodes along those same themes and the takeaways that they get from that. So it's not just like, oh, I learned this cool thing at work today. but it's all proprietary and locked under my login, and I can't get it to you. It's like, no, actually I can share this with you, and I can show you where to get more of this type of content. That is, again, vastly different from what you're going to see in the market for learning content. And we've changed so much from how we take content in and how we engage with things, that we have to some extent, create opportunity for employees to choose their own adventure around these topics, in a way that makes the learning experience, first of all, experiential and not some compliance check the box thing, but then also engage them in a way that makes them want to keep digging. And that was really important to us in selecting a platform. We did not want this to be something that we did just to meet compliance standards in the states where we do business. We wanted this to be something that would stick with our employees and get them to a place of wanting more and wanting to engage further. That just as much as they put on a television show or a YouTube channel or music in the background, they would just as readily put this on in the background and let those messages begin to feed them throughout their workday. And we're not limiting what they can get to in the content library. So everything that's in the library is at their disposal. And we had some debate about that because there's a whole section about job searching, right? And they were like, wait a minute, like we're gonna spill that, we're gonna let that tea just sit out there and be percolating in the back. Yes, we are, because people don't need your permission to do this. Like, they're doing it anyway, right? And they're doing it anyway on your time anyway. Spoiler alert for those who have not figured that out yet. So if that's happening, let's not hide the content from them, because it exists and they can go find it if they want to. And if they're unhappy and they choose to look at look at what I need to do to bolster my job search, so be it. But that's not what we're finding, though. And I doubt that that's what most organizations who would engage with this type of learning tool are going to find. People, I think, are going to be much more excited about the fact that the content is there than they are about the fact that the content is not necessarily traditional. So
I believe, when I think about the things that we are and the things that differentiate us, first of all, thank you. I'm excited about the fact that, and I'm appreciative of the fact that there's so much application for VIVO and what y'all are looking to do and what y'all are looking to achieve. For us, what I'm thinking about is, the things that are going to differentiate us are always going to be differentiators, in that if you're talking about, like, there's topics out there that everyone wants to say they have content on and training on. Everybody wants to say they have content and training on inclusive leadership or allyship or wellness or advocacy or coaching or the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. The differentiation for living corporate is that none of the topics that we claim to have training content on is hypothetical.
Right. It's all coming from individuals who are in practice or in leadership, like in thought leadership, based on research and practicum and proof that these are the things that they've done. It's not hypothetical. It's also not what's the word? Basic is the best word that I can come up with. Like, it's dynamic conversation that is happening from real people in the work, who have done not just great work, but have also done the really crappy work to understand the difference between the good, the bad, and the great, and to be able to walk through that with other leaders that are in a position to be able to like actually give legitimate advice. And these are heavy hitter names in a lot of cases, people who, who are authors, people who are well followed and sought after individuals on stages across the globe, that if you had to try to get those people to do a module for your learning platform, it would cost more than the learning platform to get that done. And yet here we have it at our fingertips to be able to engage with as we want to, and then also as we need to. Like, we can actually lean on it immediately and be able to have those voices in our ear inside of our organization, teaching our individuals who work here about these, what we have deemed very important topics and themes across the organization. And I'm not going to, name no names and talk bad about people, but you're just not getting that. Trust me, I've been in this 20 plus years. I've done a lot of shopping around for HR software, and I can assure you, you're not getting this elsewhere. And so if your organization is one that wants to take a different approach to learning within the organization and how that comes to your employees and the ways that they go about it, then this is one worth exploring. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do, but I can definitely say that this is a platform worth exploring for you, because we all get tired of the same old. Like, even as kids in school, at a certain point, that big rolling cart with the big TV and the VCR on it was not as exciting as it used to be. And the same is true for us now. Most of us get told that we have, our annual mandatory trainings, and we are either looking forward to it because it gives us like a day out of the office, and we know that, we're going to get to like goof off and cut up a little bit, or we're dreading it because it's going to be completely unproductive. I'm not going to learn anything that I don't already know. And it feels like I'm here as a compliance exercise and not for my actual like edification. And this is not that. And so if you're wanting something, particularly if you're wanting to deepen the knowledge of your workforce around the DEIB topics, if that's what you're looking for, this is more than worth exploring and engaging with, because it is 1000% different than anything you're going to encounter elsewhere.
Sarah, I just got to thank you. I appreciate our partnership, appreciate our relationship. I'm excited. I can use that word for a reason. I'm not hopeful. I'm expectant of great things.
Yes.
As it pertains to the content and the programming coming out of this partnership. And, one thing we didn't talk about, I'm going to say it on our way out the door. There's plenty of learning platforms out there that might boast to have a bunch of modules. I would still also say, beyond like the manner of the content and the expertise and the practical application of the content, the sheer size of the library. The size of the library is massive, and the number of things within the themes that we choose is massive. And I don't see that with other learning platforms. You go and ask someone to talk to you about, first of all, I can say for sure, because I've done the legwork, go ask one of these other learning solutions out there if they have training on anti-microaggressions. They don't. Doesn't exist. The psychology of a microaggression I use, but then actually you're sitting down and talking to a professor who studied it and who's also experienced it in the ivory, right? But right. I would say the third thing is that none of those, I've yet to see and because I'm also coming from HR as well, right? I'm coming from change management. You're working with different learning solutions. I've been on projects where we actually had to implement and install learning management systems. So I'm familiar with the space. You're not calling up Skillsoft or calling up any of these other platforms saying, hey, can you make me 3 modules? Right.
Like, but yeah, we need subject, we need this, and it will be great. And that partnership is great too, because then it not only helps us, but it also helps you continue to develop your content, and the Living Corporate listeners are also benefiting from that, because those recordings are starting out in many cases as podcast episodes.
100%. Look, we could go on forever.
We can.
I love the way we started this conversation. I want to end where we started, which is community and supporting one another is important.
Yes. Understanding
and leveraging your resources and network to bring things together that are really unique and impactful. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. And let me just say something. I'm gonna grab this mic because this is my podcast. And okay, some of y'all need to stop. Y'all got budget. Some of y'all need to stop acting like that budget is like the $3 in your pocket. Okay.
Oh.
Use the budget to do stuff. Okay. Y'all got budget. I'm talking to the budget owners. Stop being scary. Stop being scary. I'm not just speaking up for myself. I'm speaking up for all the Black and brown specifically, but entrepreneurs by and large. Listen, some of y'all, and we're going to do a separate podcast about this. Some of y'all, and when I'm saying some of y'all, I mean people on the margins. Y'all don't know what it's like to have money. We don't know what it's like to have money. So then we get a budget allocation.
You just hold on to it.
We get scared and we treat it like it's our money, and we think that we're going to get bonus points or pats on the head for not spending money.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, they just going to cut your budget because they're going to decide that you don't need that money. And then when you really do need it and want to spend it, you're not going to be able to get it.
Some of y'all
live that.
Come on. Some of y'all also, because of the reality and history of this world, we don't have a lot of access and visual into wealth. We think that you think your $200,000 budget, you think that's a lot of money. You think $200,000 is like millions of dollars. And it's like, hey, the company was willing to allocate you that budget. They not really tripping. They not tripping. They actually fully expect you to use all of it. Right. So I need y'all to free yourselves from the self-imposed shackles of being weirdly cheap on budget that is not your money, that your company gave to you to spend.
Right.
I'm not trying to rant or rave at nobody, but I just want people to hear me, because this is also a use case of that. Sarah, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Look. I'm appreciative and thankful again for Living Corporate's partnership with VIVO Marketing. I'm excited about this platform, the work it's doing. It's been around for some years. We've had some incredible clients, various use cases. When I think about a remote only environment, in a tentative season, not really knowing what to do, low risk, high reward platforms like this make a lot of sense for a variety of reasons. And I believe they fit a variety of different organizations. And so I appreciate your words of affirmation around why this is worth exploring. And I hope for everyone listening to this, if you are an HR practitioner or operations leader, or you're someone, you might even be like a comms person or a program manager, and you're looking for something unique, something that you can stand up and implement and roll out within your organization with very low effort and at an economic price, at a price point that's economical in this moment.
Yes.
Look, do yourself the favor and just use the link in the notes and schedule a demo with me. It's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? You might not like it, and that's okay. All right. You're going to at least laugh. We're going to have a good time. All right.
Yes.
Sarah, before we let you go, you have plugged your podcast a couple times in the very beginning of this conversation.
Accidentally. Gracious me.
But where can people learn more about you? Where can they engage you? Where can they learn more about VIVO? I'm giving you space to plug whatever.
Yes, definitely hit up our website, vivoagency.com. I'm on there. But you'll also find out more about the brands that we're working with, the people who work inside of our organization, and the wonderful work that we're doing within healthcare marketing to shape the future of how and where and who care is delivered to. And for me, check me out on LinkedIn. Sarah K. Morgan is the easiest way to find me, and you will find the links from there to my website and my podcast and all those things, and all my thoughts on everything and nothing that's related to the world. So yeah, please connect with me. I look forward to seeing and learning more about y'all.
Listen, y'all, it's been Sarah Morgan, HR executive speaker, thought leader, podcaster. Overall just dope individual, kinfolk, not just skinfolk. This has been Zach Nunn. Make sure you click the link in the show notes. You want to learn more about the capabilities that Living Corporate has. You want to learn more about VIVO Marketing. You want to learn more about Sarah's podcast. You need to just stop what you're doing. Put your hazard lights on. Put car on the side of the road. Put the little flares out. Put the little cones out. And then put the car in park. And then
cones and flares.
Cones and flares. Look down at your phone because you shouldn't be doing that while you're driving. If you're doing that, look, I'm judging you straight up. So do all that. Then go to the link in the show notes and just explore all the things, because we put the stuff in the show notes for your perusal. All right?
Yes.
All right.
Indeed.
All right. Till next time, y'all. Peace.
Living Corporate is a podcast by Living Corporate LLC. Our logo was designed by David Dawkins. Our theme music was produced by Ken Brown. Additional music production by Antoine Franklin for Musical Elevation. Post-production is handled by Jeremy Jackson. Got a topic suggestion? Email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and living-corporate.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.